Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brother Roy Smith with the Black U.S.A Network. Strong arm gangster tactics are trying to take over in our country. It's up to us to watch what's going on and avoid the gaslighting for our culture that's being targeted towards us. I mean, we can react to all this stupidity going on in Washington D.C. But I think we're a lot smarter than that. But today that I have for our audience is: are we brawlers or pragmatists? And what are you? Are you ready to fight for what you want? Or are you ready to sit back and let what happens happen? Not get in wine and going on in America. As I do my intro, I would like you to just be patient with me for a second, because I'm trying to ensure that we get the same people involved that we always get involved, because they are people. And I don't think on what is good. Say to you a couple of things that I picked up in the future, as well as other areas of America. Black people will die for what we believe. And listen to the Black people will die for our beliefs. We will put our hearts on the line and take our lives for what we believe in. Now, that's been the philosophy of our people for a long time. Now it's time for a change. But before I tell you what that change is, I want to tell you what white people do. White people will kill for what they believe in. Now listen to the difference. Black people will die for what we believe in, and white people will kill for what they believe in. That's been the ticket for a long damn time, and it's time for us to start to pay attention to what's actually going on. We don't need to be dying for anything right now that we believe in. We need to start taking on a different philosophy. What's her name? I can't remember her whole name, but she said it perfectly. We're going to have to start brawling for what we want, and not allowing America to just take us for granted and act like we don't exist. But we don't have to go out and start taking names and kicking ass all over the place. We can fight, but we can only fight using what they use their rules against them. We can't keep fighting with the rules that we don't really understand. If we don't know the rules, we can't fight. It's just like if you want to carry a handgun. If you don't know the rules to carrying a handgun, then you cannot walk around and carry that handgun. I hope my audio is okay. If it's not, please drop me a comment and let me know that something's not going on right. You can't hear me well, or whatever the case may be, and I can make adjustments to try to get it right. But I hope to hear from you in the comments, in the chat rooms. Send me a note. You can talk to us at BNN247. You can call in at 210-872-2261. You can chat. If you're watching the show, you can definitely make comments in the chat room. It's so easy for you to voice your opinion in today's discussion. I would love to hear from you. Just remember, we no longer need to die for what we believe in. We need to fight for what we believe in and not die in the process. Zelensky, he thanked Donald Trump for what he's been doing for Ukraine. After the disrespect that man received in Washington, D.C. He was a pragmatic person, and I think that's what bothered him because he did not bow down. So I appreciate what he did. This is Black U.S.A, the real voice of Black U.S.A, broadcasting the news from a Black perspective. We do not own the right to the music, but we do own the right to what we say. I am Brother Smith-Bey, your host, and our other co-host will probably be in a little later today, Mr. Claude Foster. I want to thank him and thank you for being viewers of our show. You can definitely join in, and if you have a topic that you are interested in us discussing, just shoot me a line in the messaging and the comments, and I will definitely get around to us talking about it. This show is designed to take what's happening in the news today and bring it to you from a Black perspective. We want us to be able to hear what the news is saying beneath the words of what they're saying on places like CNN, Fox News, NBC, all those channels. They're broadcasting the news, but they don't give a damn about how we perceive the news. Before we begin on being a brawler or being a pragmatist, let me just tell you about some of the things we've done as pragmatists. And these things have not worked out. It's a sad story, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. And I want to start with the basic one that we believe in so much and we cherish as peers leader here in America, which is the NAACP. First thing I would say about the NAACP is I resent the fact that 2025 we're still coming out of color people. We're still following the lead of color people. We're not so many color people anymore. We're really not Black, and we're really not African Americans. We're actually more. And if we don't engage our ancestors, we're going to always be Black and African American. We can't go anywhere in other countries and add ourselves to these other countries and expect them to respect us when we don't have a nationality to stand on or a nationality to show them that we have our nationality here in America. We have it, but we just haven't claimed it. And that's been the problem all along. Until we claim it, we don't have it. The NAACP, it was established in 1909, and their objective was to lobby for civil rights legislation. And as you know and I know, they were effective during the 50s and 60s, and really effective during the 50s and 60s. But nothing significant enough to stop what has happened to our Black people over the last 20 years. We've lost over 200 Black men and women to police violence in the last 20 years, which goes to show that the NAACP they're not effective. Even though I'm a member of the NAACP, because I want to support any Black organization or claim to be Black upfront organization. I want to support it. But we really haven't gotten the results we want from the NAACP because shit still happens. We still get dogged, and we still get punked, and we still get left out the cold at the end of the day. Another organization that was created back then was called CORE. This is the Congress of Racial Equality. The Congress of Racial Equality. They were called CORE. And they believed in doing what they call, the CORE believed in doing direct action and protest. So they organized protests, they organized boycotts and other things such as that nature. but they never really made a significant impact on where we need to go in America because they basically faded out as well. And the objective of J. Edgar Hoover was to get rid of anything black, even though he was a black man, and nobody could really, nobody know it. Nobody knew it. Nobody could put it on the mainstream and say it. White folks wasn't gonna say it. They got a black man here in the FBI. It was J. Edgar Hoover, a black man. Look it up. He's black. Um, that was in 1957. Again, in 1957, they came out with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Now, this was a Martin Luther King motion, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and they were all about nonviolent protest. And you and I both know where the nonviolent protest took us. And it really didn't take us no daggone where because we got our asses beat quite a bit trying to walk around acting like we were nonviolent and allowing these people to beat on us the way they did. That was something that we really didn't enjoy too much during that time. But black people still held their heads up. They still dressed appropriately. I mean, back then you'd see black men in suits and shoes and top hat and still getting beat down just for the simple fact that they were black or non-white. That's some of the organizations. The NAACP was one, which is still around today. The CORE was another one, which is not necessarily around today. I don't think the charter has folded, but it's somewhere out there. SCLC is somewhere around today, but they're not making enough difference to make us aware of anything. There's another one. It's called the SNCC, SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. That was created in 1960. And they were the ones who were the Freedom Riders who went down to Mississippi and where the three young fellows were murdered in Mississippi, in the Shelby County, Mississippi. And they believed in sit-ins at the Woolworth counters, the Walgreen counters, and any other places where they considered black folks not to be. In other words, they were more about desegregating America. Desegregating America is something that we really have a problem with. We are not able to desegregate what's not to be desegregated. You can go out and protest and boycott and sit in and do all this stuff for them to accept you into their organizations and their places of business all you want to. But here comes Donald Trump, and he's turning that whole thing around. He doesn't hold America responsible for not allowing black people to enter into their establishment. Now, I use the term black loosely, but in my opinion, black is not an identification of your race. So don't assume that just because I'm calling people black, that I'm labeling anybody in our culture as black or African American for that matter. We're neither one. So I use that term loosely because that's what most of us understand we are talking about, which I call myself black too. I mean, I'm black until in the public's eye, but in my heart, I know what I am. And I have set my status to match who I am and what I am. And that's something I expect and would ask each of you to consider doing because you should know what you are. You should know who you are. And that's what the bottom line is. If you don't know who you are, you really ain't gonna get anywhere in America. Now, SNCC SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, did the sit-ins and did the freedom rides, and we all know what happened with that. Now we come to the real organization, which really stood for the betterment of Black people only, and that was the Black Panther Party. Now, anytime you say Black Panther Party, you see Black folks running and hiding because they are afraid of what American white folks would say or do if you decide to start talking about the BPP, the Black Panther Party. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're afraid to talk about it, if you're afraid to indulge in the Black Panther Party, that's quite all right because we know where America got you and how they got you, and you're sitting on a nail, not willing to get off that nail and be who you really are. That's where we are. The Black Panther Party was against what it was against police brutality, and they wanted Black people to be able to do exactly what the law said. So if the law said white people can carry guns in open public, the Black Panther Party did it too. And what really got the focus on them was when they went into the governor's office in California when Ronald Reagan was governor, and he couldn't do nothing about it. And they were armed. They stood on the steps, they walked the hallways, and nobody would try to remove them. Not the sheriff department, not the local police department, not the state patrolmen. Nobody attempted to remove the Black Panther Party. So Governor Reagan decided that, oh, we got to do something about this. After the Black Panther Party departed and Reagan resumed control of his capital, he devised a program to single-handedly work with J. Edgar Hoover and dismantle the Black Panther Party all over the United States of America. Now, when they bombed all these offices and they planted all these snitches inside these organizations, it was all about the destruction of the Black Panther Party. And the Black Panther Party was all about taking care of their own. They created the free lunch program for Black kids in the hood, in the ghetto. And they did it. And nobody could stop it. Now, all of this is what has taken place in America over the last 50 years, 75 years or so. And we, as Black people, have endured it all. And we still survive and we still get along and we still get where we need to go and do what we need to do. And we still work and we make it to the next level. But the bottom line is we will never get beyond this level as long as we don't unify and start doing something in the same direction. There are too many Black organizations out here on their own, and they're not doing what they can do to make America or make Black America great again. And that's right, make a Black America great again. Because we were once the rulers of this land, and we allowed our kindness and our friendship and our belief in greater mankind to overcome our common damn sense and allow these damn pilgrims and everybody else to infiltrate our land and take it over and then enslave us in our own country. We're enslaved. Well, we were enslaved in our own country. And how can you go from you never have ever had what we call a root or a citizenship in the country, but you go from slave to citizenship. But what part did you skip in going from slave to citizenship? There's a part in there that still has to be addressed, and that is nationality. How can you go from slave to citizenship of the United States of America without establishing who you are to become a citizen of the United States of America? You can't just become whoop, boop, I'm a citizen of America. It don't work like that. That is the problem with us. We take this stuff that they issue to us with a grain of salt, and we run with it as if it is the law. It is not the law, and it is not what is actually happening. They can twist these words. This is the English language. It is not our language. They take these words and they put them in a certain context, and we read these words, and then we think that these words are talking about us and that they are applying to us, and they're not. Read the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment tells you that we are no longer considered slaves, but considered citizens in the United States of America. Now, how in your right mind can you think that this is what's actually happening? You are not a citizen of this country. How can you write an amendment that violates a previous amendment? The previous amendment trumps the one you're trying to write. In order for you to write one, you got to correct the one you already written. The Fifth Amendment says that the America will never take anything from you. They will always give you what's just due. But then the 14th Amendment tells you that the slaves are now citizens. They're no longer slaves anymore, but you're skipping that part that I just spoke about. But how can you say later on, the last line, one of the last sentence, next to the last sentence of the 14th Amendment says, we're not going to pay you a damn thing, not even for the slaves that you liberated, even though we promised to pay you X amount of dollars for the slaves that you liberated. We're not going to pay you for them. We're not going to pay you. And you ain't nothing you can do about it. And if you try, we're going to sue you and put your ass in jail. Look at what Donald Trump's doing right now. Anybody that stands up in opposition of what Donald Trump is doing right now is ended up on the bad end of a stick, and he's going to end up in jail. They're going to end up in jail or disbanded. Look at what he did to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Hillary Clinton. He has revoked all three of those security clearances that they have to view national secrets or whatever they view with the top security clearances they have. He dismantled their security clearances. They no longer have them as elected officials or formerly elected officials. Donald Trump has single-handedly, since he became president on February 20th, March 20th, or I'm sorry, January 20th, in 60 days, 60 days, Donald Trump has single-handedly accumulated 173 injunctions against him. 173 injunctions for all the executive orders he have signed. And he sent a ship back down to Venezuela full of migrants that he called violent migrants, rapists and murderers and everything else that he got no clue. He's convicted them before they even stood a trial. He sent them back to, well, I ain't gonna say back. He sent people that not even Venezuelan citizens to Venezuela and put them in the worst prison on the planet, probably. He did that. He sent all these innocent Americans on that plane just because of the color of their skin to another country in the prison. But we, as long as it ain't us, we ain't got shit to say. We sit back like, oh, it ain't us, so we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. That's not the way it's supposed to work. We've been sitting back watching all this stuff happen and not saying anything and not doing anything. And that is the pragmatist part of us, that we have accepted without accepting. Now, if you want to be a brawler, you're going to be out here doing maybe what I'm doing, talking about the inconsistencies of this new president and these new laws that he's laying out and the stupidity of those people, elected officials that follow him down this rabbit hole. People are following him down these rabbit holes and don't give a damn about the consequences as long as they are on the side of Donald Trump, which they deem a winner. But he's not. He's not that winner. He's not that guy. 173 injunctions. That's a lot of injunctions. Now he's targeting the judges that say he's wrong in doing these things, but he's defying the judge's orders. He's doing things that the judge say that he shouldn't be doing, and nobody is doing anything about it. How can you allow a sitting president to be above the law? Because that's exactly where he's sitting right now, above the law. And he's doing what he wants to do with the people of this country, the citizens of this country. You're sending in these racist police people, ICE, and they're capturing people. And before they can spell cat, they're on a plane to another country being deported. Now that's brawler. That's the brawler mentality right there. They're doing what the hell they want to do with people that they don't think have a right to be in this continental United States. You and I ought to understand that that's a problem. That is a problem. What happens when they run out of taking these immigrants, the so-called immigrants, the Mexican-oriented immigrants out of our country? Who do you think is next? How far down the line do you think it'll be before they get to you, brother, black man, black woman? How far do you think you are down the line from the Mexicans? You're one step above them. Then you may not be there above them. You may be parallel to them. And I bet you somebody black was on that plane being deported down there too. If you ain't got nobody speaking for you, you probably gone. Donald Trump is stretching the law in his favor, and we are allowing him to do it by not saying anything about it. Many of us are afraid to mention his name in our employment areas. Why? Oh, we don't want our bosses to think we racist. But your ass is racist. They racist against you and don't give a damn. But you want to protect your innocence by acting like you like everybody. You got a white friend. Just like they say, I got a black friend. I'm not racist. There's nothing on this planet you can do to change the atmosphere of a racial society. Ain't nothing gonna change that. Every single opportunity they get to be racist, they will be racist. You think just because they burning Tesla cars, he give a damn? That man got insurance on every damn car that's been burned. So he get the money. Only thing you're doing is making a statement. He's getting the money for every car that you done destroyed. It's a message. Of course, you're sending a message. Burning Teslas. That's the message that you want America to see, and America is seeing it, and they're showing your disgruntledness with what Elon Musk is doing with the doggy, whatever, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. The doggy. He's doing his thing, and ain't very much you won't be able to do about it. That's what Elon Musk is doing. Why is it that we have such a hard time taking it like it is? When we come back, We're going to talk about Brown versus Board of Education, and we're going to talk why that particular policy might have been the beginning of our demise. Brown versus Board of Education was basically a lawsuit against the Department of Education because they did not put the same amount of influence or the same amount of funding or focus on the education of Black people that they put on white people. And because there was a big difference in how they educated Black people and white people, there was a problem. I can remember just as far back as the 1970s, growing up in school, we were still segregated. All Black, 100% Black. No white teachers, no white teachers at all. All Black in elementary school. No white teachers, 100% Black. All Black teachers in high school. Now, how can you think about, or how do you feel being able to go to a school where everybody's Black? The teachers, the janitors, the cooks in the kitchen, everybody's Black. That's something I want to tell you about what's happening here in America so you don't get it twisted. Every president so far has been what? White. Every vice president so far has been white. One more white, one Black, allegedly Black vice president, one African descent, real African descent, Black president. The Senate is 91% white. The House of Representatives, 73% white. The presidential cabinet has always been as greater than 89% white. The governors of 50 states have always been white, 98% white. The mayors have been 88% white. The military advisors, with the exception of Colin Powell and Lloyd Austin, have all been white. The federal judges are 88% white, and police officers, as of today, are 80% white. Now, it goes farther than that. The people who decide what you watch on TV, they have been 93% white. You know, you probably grew up as I did watching Tarzan and thinking that was a beautiful show. And you'd run home after whatever you were doing to go watch Tarzan lead the animals, and he can control all the gorillas and the apes and the monkeys and everything else that lived in the jungle. One white man with all that power. Psychologically effing our heads up. One white man. People who decided the books we read or read in schools right now are 90% white. People who decide what news coverage we watch, 85% whites. The only Black channel that I know of is Brian. I can't remember his last name, but he owns the Weather Channel. People who decide what music gets produced, all these bitches and hoes and degrading our black women and creating all the hatred and killing amongst our black rappers and stars. At one point, rap was a beautiful thing, but somehow the white man got control of that and turned it into a killing thing, where we lost two of the greatest rappers in the world, Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur. School teachers are 82% white. Full-time college professors are 84% white. Owners of men pro football team, we already know, 97% white. Basketball team, 98% white. But the players on both teams are what? 75% black. Now, I told you about those stats just to let you know who's in charge. As long as we're not going to get to be in charge of those things, but we are in charge of who we are and what we accept and what we don't accept. The only thing we can do as a culture and a people is to not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of. We were taken advantage of for 400 years as slaves. And if we are still being taken advantage of in 2025, it ain't the white man doing it to us. It's us doing it to us. The black man doing it to the black man. The black woman doing it to the black woman. How many times have you scrolled down TikTok or scrolled down some of the Facebook and saw this dumb shit that you see where blacks against blacks, blacks against black men against black men, or black men against black women, all black on black. This not their fault. We're the one filming that shit and publicizing it and making everybody laugh about it, thinking it's a joke. It's not a joke when we're still fighting each other and not knowing how to go to a public event and get along at that public event. Brown versus Board of Education, you ended up receiving secondhand books. You know, I remember the day I sat in a classroom and was given my book for the year. And the first thing I do is open up that book, and what I see is signatures already in the book. Because back then we would sign our books on the front cover. So if I got 2 or 3 signatures already in that book, that tells me that somebody has already had that book for a year. So 2 or 3 years, that book is 3 years old by the time it got to me in public school. So I'm getting third-hand information when the white schools are getting the new books. We're getting the old books that they don't want to use anymore. Hand-me-downs. How many times have I looked in the box and saw old basketball uniforms, old football uniforms that came from the white school down to the black school, and the white school got the new uniforms. We accepted that because we got uniforms. We ain't never had no uniform. We ain't never had no books. So now we got books, we happy. We got uniforms, we're happy. Although second class, third class, we're happy that we got them. We got to be better than that. We got to think better than that. We got to believe in ourselves better than that. And we got to know that we're worth more than that. We got to know this. But we're not going to know that we're worth it when we don't stand our ground and demand to be respected and demand to be treated better and not allow them to get away with a single thing. Now, it's a fight. It's a fight, and you're going to be labeled a radical. You're going to be labeled a troublemaker, and you're not going to be able to get the endorsements you need to get to the next job. But you were born with nothing. You can die with nothing. But if you play your cards right, you can maneuver through their systems by learning their rules. Because that's who we are up against. The rules that they put in place to hold us back. And they hold us back by us not knowing the rules. All we have to do is know the rules, learn the law, whatever career field you're in, whatever job you do. What are the rules for this job? If you don't know the rules, then you can be taken advantage of so easily. Just because you have allowed yourself not to know the rules. You've not taken advantage of the system that thrives on your ignorance of the rules. Donald Trump's dismantling the Department of Education, which in my humble opinion, I think is one of the best things you can do right now. It saves us the trouble of fighting for us getting books with our content in it. Right now, if you open up any high school book, you'd be lucky to find more than 2 to 3 figures that are black in that book. You're definitely going to find Martin Luther King. You're definitely going to find Rosa Parks, and you're probably going to find the Peanut Guy. That's about as far as America will allow the information to go towards their people. You remember, I'm sure, when they came out with this critical race theory, you know what that was about. We don't want our white kids to know what our ancestors did. You know, your white kids are the ones reaping the benefits from what your ancestors did. You're the ones living off of that old money that y'all made the old-fashioned way. That's what you're living off right now. No, we don't expect you to give it back. You're not going to give it back. It's just stupid for us to think that you're going to give us our money back, or you're going to pay us for the work we did to make you the billionaires and the richest people in the world right now. Pam Bundy is our Attorney General. Pam Bundy. She's now targeting everybody that Donald Trump wants her to target as his enemy. So they're going against the judges who filed those 173 injunctions against Donald Trump. That's right. They're going against all the judges who filed those 173 injunctions. That's a lot of injunctions. That is a lot of injunctions that's being filed against Donald Trump, or against a lot of judges that they're going against that filed injunctions against Donald Trump. If you didn't know, the Jewish businesses have never been part of a minority when it comes to business loans and stuff of that nature. You have to excuse me, but I have to have a drink every now and then, and it ain't liquor. It ain't malt liquor. It ain't none of that. It's just water. Cold water. Jewish businesses are now considered minorities. The richest folks in the world are minorities. They're being given access to billions of dollars in resources. So now that money that have not been issued to the black people, getting ready to get issued to the Jews, the richest folks in the world. And they already got businesses on Wall Street in New York and in Los Angeles. And now they qualify for loans to help improve those businesses on those strips. As I said earlier, Donald Trump is instructing Pam Bundy to go against everybody that's filing lawsuits against him, who stood against him. For instance, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and the other one, Kamala Harris. He's also going against law firms who helped file those lawsuits. Our birth certificates make us a citizen by us being born in the United States of America. The birth certificate is what makes us the citizens, gives us citizenship. When that citizenship is honored, it basically states that you have just signed, or your parents have signed a contract with the state that you're in to make you a commodity of the state. A birth certificate makes you a commodity of the state. You have to authenticate your birth certificate. And what that does is says that you are a real person. It makes you a real person, not a commodity. But right now, if you have not authenticated your birth certificate, you are a plain ass commodity traded on the New York Stock Exchange, just like every damn thing else. America's still making money off your black ass. Excuse me for going down that hole. I gotta stay out of there. What do you think about Donald Trump promoting Teslas at the White House? What do you think about Donald Trump encouraging Americans to buy Bitcoin? Have you ever seen such a fiasco in Washington, D.C.? There's only one objective for Donald Trump, and that one objective is to be in the news 365 days a year, more than once a day. You got to know who you are. In order to know who you are, you got to believe in yourself and believe that your history goes beyond the Civil War. You have history lasting way before the Civil War. And if you never, ever look back far enough to figure out where you came from and who you are, then you're going to always be that slave off the plantation. You don't want to live or die at the end of your life knowing that the only thing you know is that you are a slave off the plantation. Today we talked about Zelensky taking the punk role with Donald Trump, because you know how he acts when you go against him. He gets crazy. He's even went as far as denying money to universities for letting transgenders men participate in women's sports. He's cut money to those universities. Michigan State is one of them. He's cut money, and he don't care. He don't care what you think about it either, because his name is Donald J. Trump. We talked about the NAACP, which I hope and pray that the NAACP become our premier organization. But I think my hopes and my prayers are falling on deaf ears, because the NAACP has had 100 years to do it, and they still have not done it. 100 years, 119 years old. CORE, where's CORE? Who knows? Where's SCLC? Who knows? Where's SNCC? SNCC? BPP, we all know what the Black Panther Party is. But what we don't know is how Donald Trump can ignore 173 injunctions against his executive orders and not address them the way a seated president should. This is what we have to deal with as blacks in America. But you have to understand the law. And I keep explaining that, and I'm going to just go down a few things that you let the officers confuse you into believing that they are laws, and they are not laws. You are sovereign in your own right as a person in this country, and that's not as a black person, but technically you are more already, because you were here way before most of them. Unless you are from Trinidad or Haiti or Panama or South Mexico, Venezuela, and black, then you are a native of this country. You were here before they got here, and they made you slaves. When they tell you you're in violation of a code is not a law. So you can't violate anything that an officer can't card you, or you shouldn't be able to card you without you being in violation of a law. So if he tells you that you're in violation of a code, then a code is not a law. It's like, I'm asking you to move from this area. Same thing. A code is asking you to do something. It ain't demanding you do anything. An ordinance, it's a city document or something of that nature, but it is not a law. But keep in mind what I said earlier. Once you sign that birth certificate, your parents sign that birth certificate, it makes you a ward of that state. And because you are a ward of that state, you are subjected to the laws, the codes, the ordinances, the resolutions of that state. That's your jurisdiction now, because you signed a document saying that it's okay for you to be part of the rules and laws and regulations that they want to follow. You agreed to those rules and laws. It's just like any other contract. Your birth certificate is a contract. And as long as you allow them to keep you under that birth certificate, ain't very much you can do. The first step out of from under this bullcrap that you've suffered from for year after year after year, and watched over 200 black men and women and children die at the hands of the police, and watched them walk away after they just murdered somebody. You know, what's the point of you firing an officer for killing a black person? Who gives a damn that you fired them? That ain't about DOD. Lock them up. Now we talking. But you want to fire them and come out on national TV like you done something. Just remember, your birth certificate is a contract. It's a contract with the state in which you live in or were born in. And you can change that status if you choose to. But you have to. You must authenticate your birth certificate. Our goal here at the Black News Network is to empower black people with knowledge of self, with knowledge of growth, with knowledge of administrating your business in a closed society, because you're not welcome here. That makes it closed to you. You're not welcome here. I hope and I pray that our people eventually learn that this is America. It is our land. Leviticus 25:10 tells you that the land, the property, the families, everything taken from us must be returned. This is in the Bible. Leviticus 25:10. Read it and study it. Donald Trump has implemented some stuff that's only allowed to be implemented during wartime. The Fugitive Slave Act, dealing with your citizenship, the Immigration and Nationality Act, dealing with your citizenship. You got to register your birthright, a certificate of living birth. That's what you need. Once you get out from under your birth certificate, then you will be given a certificate of living birth. It takes you from an entity to a human being. For those of you watching Chuck Schumer and the Democrats with their pragmatic way of thinking, by signing on to keeping the country running again, if Chuck Schumer hadn't done that, then we'd have to be in a fight right now. But we're not in a fight because Chuck Schumer caved in to Donald Trump's wishes. For those of you who think that the Emancipation Proclamation freed us, think again. It was just an emancipation, a proclamation. Emancipation is only the act of freedom. It ain't freedom itself, it's the act of freedom. Proclamation is only a formal public announcement. Emancipation, the act of freedom. Proclamation, the formal announcement. The Alien Enemies Act is something that Donald Trump is trying to use for that one airplane he sent to Venezuela. It cannot enact that act unless there is a war, a legitimate war against the United States. And it's not one. That's where we are, America. That is where we are. $200 of our people got shipped to El Salvador on a plane. A judge told them to turn that plane around and bring it back. Donald Trump defied the judge. He delivered the plane anyway. And they put those people in one of the worst prisons in the world. Donald Trump is going after anybody that's against him. So if you are against Donald Trump and you stand in public office right now, be careful what you say or what you do. The people that are burning these Tesla cars, they're making a statement. They're saying that we no longer believe that what Doge and Elon Musk are doing in Washington is in the best interest of the American people. And in order for it to be known, this is how we're going to let you know that this is not what needs to be done. And see, the White House is going to play it down. Oh, it's only a few places. It's only a few cars. But keep in mind that Elon Musk gets paid for every single car that burns. Every car that's being burned, he gets paid for it. I don't go a session or a show on Sundays at 3:30 without saying this. Take your time, figure out your course of action, and head down that road and don't turn back. Down that road, you're going to experience ups and you're going to experience downs, but do not turn back. Stick to your guns, No matter how hard it gets, stick to your guns. You may lose your job, you may lose your house, you may lose anything you may have. And if they want it, they can. Did you know in every house purchase that you make, there's a clause in there that says the bank has whoever owns the loan, they have the authorization to call that loan in immediately. In other words, you need to pay us $190,000 or $350,000, whatever your house is worth at the time. You will have to pay it or you lose your house. So it's not free. You have the illusion of freedom, the illusion of possessions. Nothing you own is yours. Be careful that this current president is going after our people. It is not becoming of a presidential representative, but this is what he does. And our job is to understand this is what he does. Don't allow yourself to be gaslit. Don't allow yourself to become angry, because there's no reason for you to be angry. You have endured worse than this. You've suffered worse than this. Stand your ground, be happy, and don't allow them to keep you out of your game with all these distractions, because that's all they are distractions. We're not going to be gaslit, Mr. President, because we know better. I leave you with this. Look into your mirror and ask yourself, where does your history start? Can you go back 100 years? Can you go back 200 years? Can you go back 300 years? I guarantee you, if you ask an Italian, where does your history start? He can take you way back. He can take you way back, as far as you need to go. And that could be as far as the 15th and 16th century. It's not too hard to do it. All you got to do is believe that your history started way before the Civil War. You had to be something before you got to be a slave. Your ancestors had to be somebody before they became slaves. How can they not know or make you forget every single thing that happened to you prior to you becoming a slave? And if for you to accept your current condition, you might be of royal blood and you're over there driving tractors for Mr. Billy Bob and not pursuing the history of your people, because your people stand for you. They stood for you. You're standing on the shoulders of those people. And many of those people are disappointed in you because you have given up on them. You've allowed them to not be rectified or not be solidified. You connected to them still, but you have to solidify the connection. And in order to solidify the connection, you got to do the work to connect yourself back to your ancestors. Oh, you say, well, I don't need them. Your ass wouldn't be where you at if it wasn't for your ancestors taking the sacrifices that they took. You got to acknowledge sooner or later that somebody did something for you to be where you are and for you to get where you're going. Somebody had to lay the path for you. Somebody had to lay the path in blood. They died for you to sit there and listen or sit there and be where you are today. You walking around in this executive suit in this executive building and you think you're running shit, but your ass can be out in a snap of a finger. Look at the Department of Education, gone. 2,000 people laid off. Just like that, overnight. But you think that they're doing you a favor because you still got a job. Your ass is next. You're the last one to get hired, the first one to get fired. You receive a lower salary than anybody in there. The youngest person coming in there get more money than you. And it ain't about the money. It's just about the job. They got you effed up. Get out from under that slave mentality that you're bringing into the 2025. Stop taking the stuff that you take from these people and stand your ground, and maybe you'll get some respect from somebody. Maybe your ancestors will push you the next mile that you need to go. Give it a chance. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting the news from a Black perspective. We don't own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. If you'd like to be part of the show, please contact me at BNN247 on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, at The War Report, at this show. You can communicate live with us while we're broadcasting. We appreciate your attendance. We appreciate your listening. And we appreciate you being the person that you are. Stand tall in the saddle and keep it moving. Be black and proud. For thine is our kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.